All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Today is Sunday, July 10th, 2022. This is your daily tropical update and a video today because we have a little bit of time on our hands and we have something to talk about. So, we've been pretty quiet for the last couple of days ever since potential Tropical Cyclone 2, which turned into Bonnie, moved across Central America. We've had a system or two in the Western Pacific to talk about, but after that system moved out, it has been really quiet in the Atlantic for the past week, and for now, that those conditions do continue. We observe a pretty quiet tropical Atlantic today. A lot of dry air, dust, subsidence, sinking air, things like that. Your tropical convergent zone is pretty quiet, although this is starting to gain some latitude as we see the signals of the season slowly working into that heart of hurricane season, which again will start at about mid-August. But for right now, the tropical Atlantic from Africa to the Caribbean is quiet. However, we do have to watch for homegrown systems any time of the year during hurricane season, and we have one to talk about along the Gulf Coast potentially this week. So we'll talk about that. We'll also quickly cover the Pacific side of things. But we'll start in the Atlantic. So we'll go to the Hurricane Center's 5-day map. Again, no active storms here this morning, but we are tracking the potential for some cyclone formation in the next 5 days. Now, right now, this is just a 20% chance of development, and it relies on this frontal boundary that's slowly sinking down into the Gulf of Mexico. And in the next couple of days, we believe this may have some potential to develop. So we're going to go back to the satellite shape we're talking about here. Again, this is a large frontal boundary that's draped across the southeast U.S., and this is the part of the boundary this morning that is sinking slowly southward. Now, these fronts this time of year don't move very fast. They kind of run out of energy. There's not a lot of upper level motion because the jet stream is so far north, and these frontal boundaries just kind of begin to sag, and they just kind of sag down to the southeast. They mix up with all that soupy tropical air. You get a lot of thunderstorms and rainfall across the deep south. Very common summertime pattern. Well, one of the things we look for this time of year is when you have a surface boundary, say sitting over 85 to 88 degree water, and you have some kind of little upper trough swing in, this combination of the upper trough and the lower surface boundary can create a low pressure system, which would be tropical this time of year, and we could potentially get a named storm out of that somewhere in the central Gulf Coast. So we'll show you some of the computer models here today. This is a GFS 850 millibar. So this morning you can see here this surface trough extending down into the Gulf and across the Florida Panhandle and overall this disturbed area of weather. And this all kind of sinks down. Again, this is 850 millibars, so your surface trough or boundary is somewhere in here this morning. And you can see even as early as Monday afternoon, the GFS beginning to show a weak low level, like mid-level vortex trying to form somewhere south of Louisiana, right here on this particular run, but generally showing low pressure trying to form in the Gulf of Mexico, northern Gulf of Mexico, sometime a little bit later in the middle of this week. And then the system gradually moves back north by afternoon Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday. Now, the European model has a little bit different solution here. It takes a little bit longer. The European sees this happening more Wednesday into Thursday. You can see the European spins that low up very close to the coast sometime here on Wednesday into Thursday and moves it in. Now, is this going to be an organized named storm? Very possible. We can see a tropical depression, tropical storm form out of this. The current indications are whatever does form is probably going to be weak. You can see here all the solutions so far keep this pretty close to the coast, and there's very warm water right here, but it's shallow warm water. It'll be hampered by land interaction. It'll possibly be ingesting some upper level dry air. There's a couple factors here that tell us this could be on the weaker side. I would not expect like a significant hurricane right now, but another one of these tropical storms. And rainfall could be a significant threat. We'll show you the 850 millibar or 700 millibar to 300 millibar moisture, the upper level moisture, and you can see this belt of moisture on the GFS here by early Tuesday feeding storms across the Gulf Coast. And the green is not the only place it'll be raining, but this is where the deepest mid-level moisture is concerned. You can see this over parts of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and even the western Florida Panhandle. And this steady stream of tropical juice comes in. You see you have a middle of a high pressure over Florida. This is pumping in that Gulf moisture along with anything on the surface low, mid-level high. You've just got this belt of really deep tropical moisture just funneling in over and over. And by Thursday and the Friday, this belt is still pushing moisture ashore. So regardless of the actual development or lack thereof of the system, you're going to have days of heavy rain possible. This is the Weather Prediction Center's current 5-day outlook for rainfall. And this runs through Friday morning. You can see there's already 3 to 6 inch rainfall totals across the southeastern U.S. from central Louisiana all the way to the Big Bend of Florida. And you can already tell some of the parts of like deep South Louisiana, along the coast there, you're already seeing some of those purples which could be rainfall totals well over 6 inches. And I would imagine these are going to go up, not go down in the next couple of days. Because again, even if there was a tropical storm never formed, you've got this steady stream of Gulf moisture pushing in for days on end as you've got this frontal boundary sitting here and just pumping moisture into the region. So there's going to be a good bit of rainfall coming for that. And also look up here, there's going to be a lot more rainfall for parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. There's been some significant flooding the last week or two across parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, from heavy thunderstorms, and we're already seeing the potential for more of that this week. Some of from the Northeast, northern Florida too, could also be getting in on this, as this whole just soupy, gross air mass hangs out. And if a tropical storm, actually were to form, I think the rainfall totals could go up significantly somewhere in this region. Again, for now, does not appear to be a massive wind or surge threat, but heavy rainfall very likely this week, as the models show, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that next couple of days. Again, the exact timing and stuff remains to be seen, but this is something we're going to be tracking down the road here. So for folks in Central Gulf Coast, expect a very wet week in store, and the potential for some tropical storm conditions possibly as we go into later, middle to late of this week. I'll show you the rest of the tropics here today. Not much else going on. This is newly minted Tropical Storm Darby. This is in the eastern Pacific coastline of Mexico right here, the very tip of Baja California right here. So Darby well away from any land interest, and this is all moving off to the west and away from land. A nice little storm, already a healthy tropical storm here this morning. Maximum sustained winds are already 60 miles an hour, and this is in a pretty warm area of water and the light wind shear. We do expect this to become a hurricane, but much like Bonnie, who just died off somewhere out here a day or two ago, that very long track of Bonnie, this storm will meet the same demise as all these storms do out here. They run along, they start to gain some latitude, they get in the cold water, and they begin to fall apart. No impact to land, just for any shipping interest or fish are concerned about this one. And finally, over in the Western Pacific, we have no active storms today. It is stormy overall. The tropics are definitely showing signs of life, but no active areas of interest or active storms right now. That will likely change in the next week or two. We do expect a storm or two to develop in the Western Pacific as we look into the extended outlook. NOAA does expect going into the second, third week of July to see tropical activity on both sides of the eastern and western Pacific basins, with a pretty good confidence. And they don't have the Gulf interest marked on their map, but they do show that anomalous rainfall for the U.S. Gulf Coast through the middle of July. So this pattern, even if we do get a tropical storm out of it, doesn't appear it's going to go anywhere. So expect wet conditions across the southeast U.S. for a good little while. So we'll be tracking all this, guys. But again, heavy rain is going to be the main impact with this, and that could exacerbate what's already been a wet couple of weeks. Flooding is going to be a big concern to go into the week, and could get a short-lived tropical storm out of it as well. Otherwise, your tropics are quiet in the Atlantic Basin, and the large scale pattern does not look like it's going to change much until maybe the end of the month to see some, more common tropical activity that's not near the shore. So that's what I've got for you guys today on your tropical outlook. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.